right, welcome on in to a slightly later than usual, but live edition, as always. It's the finale of the week, and it is DCU Daily times MCU Weekly, or MCU Weekly times DCU Daily, however you want to call it. We are here to talk about, of course, some Marvel stuff. As always, we're talking DC stuff, and we have some news regarding the weekend box office, of course. There may be some spoilers for Fantastic Four on today's show, but if you guys don't want that to be spoiled, we'll give you a fair warning. Of course, we have to talk about the new perks that Disney is giving out to Disney Plus and Hulu members. Is that going to help with the churn? We'll talk about it. Marvel is skipping Hall H this year, and at a time when we don't even know if DC is going to be in Hall H. Man, Hall H might be pretty empty this time around, so we have to talk about that. We have to talk about Superman. Of course, the first stop on a world tour is going to be in Manila. We have some new details, so we'll get into those, as well as the quick hits. And to do that and so much more, I'll have Bridget on the show today. And at the end, we will, as always, as we do on Fridays, we do a Q&A session. So I've picked out 5 of your comments, and we'll bring them all in. So to do that and so much more, let's get that show started.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. Number 2.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding. You're kidding.
I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chords.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the needs now?
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
All right. Well, it's time for the news, as we usually get the started with on the show. Let me kind of, if you guys are new to the show, let me kind of point out the format. So here's how we usually do things, right? We're gonna do the news. We have a few big news items to get into. Today we have 4 big news items to get into. Then we'll get into the quick hits, which are pieces of news, but we don't want to spend like 10 minutes talking about them. So we go through them a little bit faster. Like there's some more Apple news, like we were talking about yesterday. There's a Meet the Parents sequel coming out, another one. We'll talk about that. Things like that are going to be in quick hits. Then we will get into MCU Weekly, because today is going to be an MCU Weekly times DCU Daily. We do it once a week, of course. that's why we call it MCU Weekly. So we have some Marvel news. We have some news regarding Doomsday. We have some news regarding Fantastic Four, who are at CCXP this weekend. So we have some details regarding that. And after that, we will get into some DC news with DCU Daily. As always, it's the main event of the show, and we've got a lot of Superman stuff today, a little bit of Penguin-related content, and then we'll wrap things up, as we do on Fridays, with a Q&A session with your comments from throughout the week, and we'll bring in 5 of those and answer and address your comments and questions and fan theories. So to do that and so much more with me, as I have had on the show quite a bit recently, because John is on vacation, but that's actually not the only reason. We also like to have Bridget on the show. So it's been a while, and now it's a summer movie season, and it's getting busy. So having Bridget back on is going to be fun. And as always, I've got her on today. So welcome on in, Bridget. How are you doing? How was your day? And between yesterday and today, did you do anything interesting?
Hey, Dan, it's great to see you again. Gosh, today I just been like really busy running errands. It rained here. And yeah, before I knew it, it was time again to be on the show. But I'm trying to keep the energy up. Yeah, but overall, pretty busy, uneventful day.
Fair enough. I've had a really eventful day, to the point where, we had to push the show back to the time that we have. So we hope that you guys are able to still stick around or come along with us on the journey. We love that you guys are able to do this 5 days a week. Some of you guys are here literally Monday through Friday. So I cannot say enough how much that means to us, and of course for you to make us a little part of your day. With that in mind, let's get things started on the news. So of course, it's Friday, heading very quickly by the time we're done with the show, probably going to be Saturday, at least on the East Coast in the US. And for anybody watching from, farther east than the US, you're already in your Saturday. So it's the weekend, which means that we have to talk about the weekend box office. Now, the weekend box office is looking interesting because Lilo and Stitch, of course, dropped and took out, everything in its sights last weekend at Memorial Day weekend. And of course, Mission Impossible still made a lot of money. So both of those movies shattered records. But now, as we get into the second weekend for both of those films, we do have Karate Kid Legends coming out. We also still have holdovers like Sinners. You have Thunderbolts in theaters. You have Final Destination still out there. So, you have a number of other options for people who want to see movies. And every single one of those movies is a very different kind of film, quite frankly, right? So let's talk about it for a little bit. Because on Deadline, they were giving us a box office update heading into the weekend. As they say in the headline, Lilo and Stitch are still rich with $60 million on its second weekend. Now, remember, the first weekend, it pulled in like 100 and I think it was like 160 or 100. No, it was 140 something in the 3-day weekend. And then overall, Memorial Day weekend, the 4-day weekend, it pulled in like 183 million. So it broke the record that Top Gun Maverick had. But you go from that now to making 60 million. That's pretty impressive, like considering how many people went and saw it on the first weekend. Then you have Mission Impossible, the Final Reckoning, the final potentially the final movie in the franchise. They opened last week to a $63 million 3-day weekend, and I think they got up to like 80 some odd million in the 4-day weekend. So that also was a record for the franchise, and they're going to be looking at 27 million. So not a bad drop off at all there. Then Karate Kid Legends, the new movie this weekend, as I mentioned, they're looking at around 20 million. That's the one that is kind of disappointing because they were originally being projected to make somewhere between 30 to 40. And it seems like once the reviews came out and we have seen like how they've been pretty middling so far, the Rotten Tomato score isn't all that great. It looks like overall that's hurt the amount of money this movie is going to end up making. So roughly 20 million plus. Also, I can imagine like the competition from Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible hasn't helped this cause. So I just wanted to ask you, Bridget, of these 3 movies, because these are the 3 biggest movies. Of course, like I mentioned, you still have Thunderbolts out there from Marvel. You still have Sinners, Ryan Coogler and Warner Brothers, and I think Minecraft is still in a few theaters here and there. And then Final Destination as well, if you want to see it. Amongst a number of other smaller titles, but the 3 biggest ones are Karate Kid, Mission Impossible, and Lilo and Stitch. Are you surprised by these numbers? And then which of these movies would you go see this weekend if you ended up at a movie theater?
Yes. I'm kind of surprised to see Mission Impossible and Karate Kid. They seem pretty close, but you're right. Even Karate Kid, I've also heard with the reviews. I guess it doesn't surprise me that they are bringing in only 20 million. I haven't seen any of these yet, but I am planning to see at some point, somehow, to see the Stitch movie. I was like, maybe I should just go see it today, ran out of time. Then I was like, maybe tomorrow. But also there's like a drive-in not too far from where I live. And I feel like that could be fun if I can get one of my friends to go with me. Nice. So maybe it's the drive-ins. Yeah.
That'd be nice. That's a fun experience.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta turn on your AM radio for the audio, right? Like that's okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not the best audio experience, but I mean, you don't go to a drive-in theater because you want the best picture on the the best kind of audio kind of experience. You do it because it's like a fun time with your friends, and you get to just hang out in your car and have just watch a movie. It's
exactly
it's awesome. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a great way to start the summer too. I think
absolutely.
Well, it's still cool.
It is absolutely a great way to start the summer. And the weather is getting to be really, really good now. So I think it's a perfect time to go do that. I was just going to mention, we have Steven in the chat. He was saying, hey, crew. He said hello to both myself and you, Bridget. Of course, we have B Positive 99 in the chat as well. Speaking of B Positive, we had his question. He was asking, will Thunderbolts box office pass Captain America 4? Now, the last I checked, I was doing some research on this today, actually, surprisingly enough, or ironically enough, I should say. It looks like right now, the Thunderbolts projection is that it's going to finish its run at the box office somewhere around but under 400 million. And whereas Captain America 4, got to like 430, I think it was like something like that. So it got to like the early 400s. So it's looking like Thunderbolts will not actually beat Captain America 4's run. And that's not surprising because it's been behind where Captain America 4 was at every single point in release since the movie came out, since Thunderbolts came out. So when you do like a side-by-side chart, you would always see like the
Graph.
tracking of Thunderbolts was the graph was always low, the line was lower than Captain America Brave New World the whole time. Now Captain America 4 is currently streaming on Disney Plus, so you can watch it at home if you want to. Not that many people want to, but still. And then to address B Positive's other comment, Tom Cruise has never been great at the box office apart from Top Gun 2, which was mostly forced box office boost because it became a political movie. I don't think it was a political movie at all, quite frankly. I mean, I think the whole reason why a lot of people loved it was because it was kind of apolitical. Like I don't think that politics had to do with the success of that movie. I think it was just that damn good of a film. Like honestly, it was really good. It was the perfect kind of summer movie.
Yeah.
It also hit it at the right time. It did not have Barbenheimer to contend with. It did not have Lilo and Stitch to contend with.
Yeah.
And it was at a time when we were still coming out of the pandemic, and it really kickstarted a lot of people like, returning to movie theaters. And then people went and saw it multiple times. I've seen that movie half a dozen times, if not more.
I know.
So like, it's like Barbie. I saw it 4 times in a movie theater. So like, even people like, and I'm not somebody who goes to watch a movie in a theater multiple times generally. So yeah,
you're right.
And then
I was
sorry,
going to
go
say,
ahead.
my aunt, she saw Top Gun 3 times in the theaters, and I
That
was
is
like,
crazy.
yeah,
Right? Like,
okay,
is she a big movie fan? Like, does she go to the movie theater often?
but she loved it so much. So yeah.
Well, there you go. And then yeah, I mean, as far as Be Positive asking about Thunderbolts, like, do you think the name change, like they started to advertise it at the New Avengers, did that help or hurt it? I don't think it did either, because quite frankly, when they made the name change and all the marketing they put behind it, they never asked the theaters to change the name officially. Like the official name on the listings for the movie was still Thunderbolts. Like if you search the AMC app, you wouldn't find, you might find it if like, but generally speaking, the movie was listed still as Thunderbolts in all the apps and all the marquees at movie theaters. So it's kind of weird that they put all that money into marketing it as the New Avengers, which I felt like it was more of a stunt than anything else. Sure, did it drive some interest? Yes, it did. But again, the movie just didn't start out very high anyway, so that's probably why it's gonna peter out. But at least it's got good reviews, because that's gonna help hopefully people who are who are losing interest in Marvel. But yeah, I mean, hey, Bridget, the box office this weekend is looking interesting. Just between these 3 movies alone, you're looking at over $100 million.
Wow.
And then you have a bunch of other movies that we talked about that will be out there. So coming off of a record-shattering Memorial Day weekend, it looks like we're gonna continue the streak. So guys, let us know in the comments down below. Have you seen any of these movies? I can tell you right now that earlier today I got a message that Liz, who flew all the way across the country to see Lilo and Stitch with her nephews, did see it. And so I'll mention that experience later on in the show. Stick around for the Q&A session. And then John, who's on a mission, well, as it turns out, one of his missions today was to go see Karate Kid Legends, and he had a really amazing time. He said it was effing awesome. So, people are going to see the movies. It's the weekend. I know you guys are probably going to do the same. So let us know in the comments down below which one you go to see. And then when you do, of course, come back and tell us about it. We'd love to hear from you. And hit the like button while you're at it, because we do appreciate that. It helps us out a lot. Right now, we have to switch focus to our next story on the news portion of the show. So Bridget, it looks like Marvel has decided to skip Hall H and San Diego Comic-Con. Now, they did say there might be there for a few other panels, but as far as the big Hall H presentation, that's not something they're doing. So, yeah, it looks very, looks very interesting, but the move is interesting in the sense that Marvel had this huge presence last year. They announced Doctor Doom, and now this year, they're going from having the biggest panel of the weekend to just not being at Hall H at all, which is kind of disappointing. I know a lot of Marvel fans will be looking at this and thinking, oh, I already bought my tickets, and I was hopefully gonna see Marvel in Hall H. If you went last year, or if you wanted to go last year but couldn't and wanted to go this year instead, well, Marvel is not gonna be in Hall H. I mean, Bridget, what are your thoughts on this? And we're gonna dive into a little bit more of the details of the who's and the whys and the don'ts, but are you surprised by this, considering that they recently delayed Avengers Doomsday all the way to December of next year? So if they do want to talk about Doomsday, I guess they can do it at next summer's Comic-Con. So maybe
Right.
is that the reason why? Because and then also when you consider Fantastic Four, it comes out I think the week of or the week before Comic-Con this year, so it's already going to be out. And then the next movie after that is Spider-Man: Brand New Day, which doesn't come out until next July.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense, but like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, Marvel skipping Hall H this year, and of course, they will have a presence at San Diego Comic Con, but not the usual kind that everybody has come to expect.
Yeah, I think obviously it's a big shock, I think, to a lot of people. I saw some, crying emojis in the comments with the post. But I guess it does make sense as well. If they don't really have anything right now to talk about, it's kind of best maybe to just wait when it's closer to the release date of the other projects. Because of course we don't want any really early spoilers either, like this early on. So maybe it is the smartest move, but at the same time, of course, like I'm sure it's really disappointing to a lot of people too that already have their tickets and we're ready and looking forward to this. It's definitely a big surprise.
Yeah, no, it definitely a surprise in the sense that hey, that picture is from last year, right? Like you had the Russo brothers coming back to Marvel after years being away since Endgame, and then of course Kevin Feige says we're doing 2 brand new Avengers movies, and by the way, here's Tony Stark. Oh no, it's Doctor Doom played by RDJ. So you had all of these things that of course this year we're not gonna have that at all. We have Elite Easy E in the chat though, so that's good. And then Be Positive was asking a couple of questions, so I just want to quickly address those. Thoughts on Chris Hemsworth retiring from Thor, his letter to fans? Well, he didn't say he was retiring from Thor. I think most people kind of assumed he might be like having his character killed off in the Avengers movies, considering his video and the post that he made. We did actually talk about this on yesterday's show, so if you have a chance, you can always go back and check that out for the longer conversation. But it's definitely interesting, the timing of it all, like that he's filming Avengers Doomsday and he says that in there in his message saying next up Doomsday. But you don't just reminisce like that if you are not I don't know, like about to be on your last day on set or something. So we can only speculate because he didn't say anything one way or the other to confirm what's going on. But because Chris Evans kind of did something similar leading up to Avengers Endgame, and we know that was his exit from the franchise. So maybe if that is the precedent, then maybe that's what's on the way. So it would be unfortunate, but it wouldn't be surprising considering Chris Hemsworth wants to wind down his acting career a little bit in the next few years and do fewer acting gigs. He certainly doesn't need the money at this point. So yeah, I mean, but hey, we talked about it in a lot more detail yesterday. Be Positive, so you're welcome to go check that out. But your other question about why did Ne Zha 2 make so much money, $2 billion at the box office? Well, that $2 billion, it's a little suspect because it's coming from China and it's not as verifiable, like the information, because they don't go through the same processes, they don't use the same systems, and where it's independently verified that they actually made $2 billion. So it's kind of hard to compare that to every other movie, like whether it's Hollywood or most other countries, they all go through the same system for verification. But even if it made $2 billion, it became like that big because like they were giving kids days off from school to go watch the movie. It became like the nationalized thing to do. Like all of China with 1 billion people went to see it who knows how many times. Maybe that's why, and if that number is true. So, but I don't think that's a fair comparison to something like a Top Gun Maverick, right? Because that movie was released worldwide, and while Ne Zha 2 mostly made pretty much all its money in China, Top Gun Maverick made its money all over the world. So there's that. But hey, getting back to the Comic-Con question, thank you, Stephen, for bringing us back on track. Comic-Con might be weak this year, right, Dan? Yeah, it's if DC comes out strong and James Gunn makes some announcements, I mean, there's definitely room now because Marvel sort of like said, they basically stepped back and said, you have the floor.
Yeah,
and
there's
so
a whole slot to fill.
like literally, like they're not going to have a panel for Marvel. So I'm like, who takes that slot? They usually get to be the main event of the weekend. And I guess like now the question becomes, who does that? Because Marvel, while they are skipping Hall H, I mean, they will have a smaller presence. So they did say that they will have a few other smaller panels, maybe other tie-ins to their upcoming projects, a few of the TV shows that they've got coming up. They will do something that will tie into the Fantastic Four, which would already have been in release by that point for like a week or two. So there's that. But like as far as bringing all the Avengers out for Doomsday, it looks like they're gonna set it out because it just doesn't make sense for them to do it now that the movie's pushed by 6 months, right? Because if it had or been still coming out in the early summer months of 2026, then it would have made sense because that was the Comic Con would be the biggest event for them to do that kind of promotion leading up to the movie. Now that they're have it releasing in December of 2026 instead, they have next summer's Comic Con to do all of that. So like, why go to this year's, right? But with that in mind, obviously people are disappointed, and rightfully so, rightfully
Absolutely, yeah.
so. Enterprising saying, I just got done watching Boba Talks video. Boba Talks. Boba Talks video. Okay, what was that about? Boba Talks. And Enterprising, we're doing really good. Hope you are doing good too. Steve saying Bridget looks amazing today. By the way,
Thank you, Steven.
she does. Thank you for the compliment. And let's see. Did I miss anybody in the chat? Did I say hello to Steven in the chat? Well, I've said hello to you on the show, Steven, but I'll say hello to you in the chat as well. For everybody joining us, hit the like button while you're here. Of course, we've been talking about Marvel not being at Comic-Con this year, or rather, they're not going to be at Hall H. They will have a presence at Comic-Con. They'll have smaller panels, but the big Hall H Doomsday panel where they would have brought out all the actors, that's not happening. So unlike last year where you can see, they brought out Robert Downey Jr. and everybody, they even had the Fantastic Four cast. Kevin Feige announced 2 new Avengers movies. We're not going to get that this year. So, and if DC doesn't do anything similar, then yeah, Comic-Con might be weak this year, as Steven was saying. But with that, I guess you guys can just let us know in the comments what you think is gonna happen at Comic-Con this year, because it's not gonna be something in Hall H for Marvel. Do they have any other surprises up their sleeves? Like, let us know in the comments down below, and hit the like button while you're at it, because right now we have to basically switch gears and talk about some other Disney-related stuff. So, airlines have air miles, right? And then you have like hotels have loyalty programs. And the reason why they do all of that is because they want you to keep going back and staying at the same hotel and stay loyal to the brand, like fly the same airline. And then the perk of like accumulating points that gives you other discounts or special benefits like bonuses, like late checkouts, or, you can get fees waived for your checked baggage or whatever. So, and then, it kind of goes up from there. We all know how those things work, right? Well, it looks like Disney Plus said, hey, we are having this churn problem where people keep canceling our streaming service after they're done watching the show they want to watch. Like right now, I'm finally catching up on season 3 of The Mandalorian. If I was a churner, I would just cancel Disney Plus after I was done with it, because I'm like, what else do I have to see on there, Right. I don't do that, but I know a lot of people do, and rightfully so, because it's expensive streaming. So you can't keep all of the streaming services all the time. You got a budget for it. So,
Yeah.
But one of the ways that Disney is trying to experiment now to maybe keep those people around is to give them some perks to stick around. So that, even like, I can go to an ice cream shop and they'll give you a punch card as their loyalty program. So Disney Plus is like, why can't we do the same thing?
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, well, let's try it, right? Because recently they've been doing things like bundling. Like you've got there's a bundle out there with HBO, Hulu, and Disney Plus. Amazing bundle, because then you get so much stuff there. And then, when The Last of Us is done airing, there'll be a Disney Plus show airing, and there's usually not a ton of overlap. So it's great value. And then a lot of the people who have the bundle they don't really cancel it very often. So that's helped with the problem, but obviously not enough, because now if you were going to be a Disney Plus and Hulu subscriber, you will get some special sweepstakes and other perks. Like, you might be able to get some premiere tickets to Freakier Friday, the new, of course, Lindsay Lohan movie. And then, of course, Disney cruise vacations, maybe tickets to their parks, Lollapalooza, Jimmy Kimmel Live, even the San Diego Comic-Con passes. Bridget, obviously the reason behind this is to drive loyalty and for people to not cancel Disney Plus or Hulu. Hulu is going to have their own set of perks that are going to be, there's going to be some overlap with Disney Plus, and then some things will be different. But like even something like Dash Pass, right? Like you get 6 months of that, which allows you to save money on if you're ordering off DoorDash or something, or get Adidas discounts and stuff. Is this enough, do you think? Or even Funko.com, like Funko Pops, you get a discount on? Is that going to be enough for Disney Plus and Hulu to keep people around on their streaming services? It kind of, to me, it seems like a roundabout way to solve a problem, right? Because I'm like, just make more stuff that keeps people, engaged with your streaming service throughout the year. Like, why go about it this way? But I suppose this is cheaper than greenlighting 5 new shows. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Bridget?
At first it does seem like, oh yeah, that's actually kind of like maybe a good idea. But looking at like what you actually get, I don't know if the perks are really worth it. I don't like the chances of winning tickets to me. I don't know. I feel like unless like you shop at Adidas and are growing a huge Funko Pop collection, I don't know if this would really appeal to a lot of people to make it worth paying that and not canceling if their show is done and moving on to another one temporarily. I think that they might have to, if they're going to offer anything, just make it maybe a little bit more appealing. I don't know if maybe they can like really, because if it's, Disney, really maybe, I don't know, like maybe offer like discounts at like the Disney parks, or I don't know, really find a way to actually make it more enticing for people, then maybe. But I don't know, reading through some of this doesn't make me feel like it's worth sticking around for.
Yeah, I mean, Enterprising saying we'll have a coupon day or something. The blood-sucking lawyer from Jurassic Park. Yeah, coupon day or something sounds fun. It's also that whole thing of, like you said, some people might be enticed by it because the prospect of free Disney park passes or the ability to go see a premiere. Sure, but I'm guessing a lot of this is going to be ultimately a lottery system kind of thing. Sign up for winning potential prizes. Most people will not win those prizes, and yeah, I mean, unless they do it as like a loyalty program, kind of like what they do with the airline miles, or like, if you are staying at like I have a Marriott Bonvoy membership, right? The more times you stay, the more what points you accumulate and special benefits.
Yeah, I think there's a point system, maybe.
Yeah, it's so it just depends on how things go. By the way, Figure Drawing is in the chat, and Enterprising. Enterprising was saying how Boba Talks was giving some clarification on the Superman test screenings drama. We will get into some of that later. Figure Drawing saying Bridget is dangerous. She can choke people out with her braids. Well, there you go.
It's true.
And then he later on said D plus Domino's sent people free pizzas. I got nothing. I don't know. It's free pizza would be fun. Again, I don't think this is the kind of situation, unless they literally do this like a loyalty program. I don't know how much this is going to help anybody. And quite frankly, I think you get to a certain point where you're like, just might as well greenlight a few more shows that might keep people around, like, make better stuff and have enough for people to not cancel you like every 6 months, right? But then again, it's hard because even in the era of cable television, people didn't cancel because they might be locked into deals, right? Like where you could lock in the price if you tied yourself into a contract. Otherwise, I'm sure people would cancel cable too because they're like, there's nothing on here that I want to watch. And then you also had bundling. So like they're already doing that, right? Like you'll get channels where you might have something to watch in March, but then, by the time you get to June, you're watching a different channel because the show you're watching on USA Network is done, like stuff like that. So yeah. And exactly, Enterprising saying better content is always the answer to me. That's exactly. I think tell better stories, have better programming. That's the ultimate solution. But this is, I guess, a half-assed solution. Maybe it's one of many things they can do to reduce their churn on their streaming services. But yeah, I mean, it's also the economy, like Figure Drawing is mentioning. Disney can't fix the economy on their own, and some people will just be trying to save money because they need to save money. So that's what it comes down to. But with that, guys, let us know in the comments down below what you think about this. Are you somebody who churns? And if so, will you be convinced to stick around because you might be getting some free Disney passes if you're a long-term subscriber to Disney Plus? So let us know in the comments down below what you think about it. Hit the like button while you're at it. Right now, we have to move on to talking about some Superman news. So, of course, yesterday we were talking about the Superman World Tour dates. So that was the big news, and we now have 7 cities, and they're going to be stopping by those 7 cities over the course of 4 or 5 weeks leading up to Superman coming out, starting in June, which is literally a day or two away from when we're doing the show live. But in the meantime, we have the dates, we know where they're going to start the tour, and Bridget, they're going to kick things off in Manila. So Manila in the Philippines, it's going to be the first city on their path. And today I saw a bunch of promotional marketing being done around it. I saw it on the Superman Instagram account. I saw it all the socials, and even just people walking around in Manila posting like there's new statuettes, there's new big banners and 3D displays about it. So let's talk about it, shall we? In terms of the Superman World Tour, this is gonna be the first city. Therefore, they gotta start kick things off big. So it looks like that's exactly what they're gonna do because they've already got a huge statue up with the Superman logo on it.
Humongous.
They've got like this huge globe ball display, which kind of looks like the sphere in Las Vegas. I don't think this is nearly as big, but it's still big enough for you to be able to clearly see the message on there. And then they have a few other things. I saw these photos. Then I saw a video of the sphere where it's kind of showing the logo and the look up Manila and everything. Is this something that excites you? I mean, obviously, if you're from the Philippines, which we actually stick around for the Q&A session, we had somebody from the Philippines tell us their experience because it looks like it's made quite the splash. Like they're really heavily marketing this. But if Superman was coming to your city and you were driving around and seeing this kind of marketing and then seeing the date, because they're telling you, hey, we're coming to Manila on June 19th. They're not just advertising the day of the movie coming out. So you all of a sudden would be like, oh, wait, do I get to see the movie early? Like, because I don't know if they're going to screen the movie that early, but
yeah,
you certainly would be able to maybe, meet the stars, maybe meet James Gunn. Like, if you were in Manila right now, Bridget, how would you react to this?
I'm already excited for them. I think this looks really cool. I think I'd be really stoked to be driving and see that and be like, wow, even if you didn't know really, what was going on. If you hadn't even heard about the world tour, it's obviously great marketing to get everyone interested and to know that Superman is coming to your town.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really cool. And the giant Superman is really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to that one for a second. Like, look at this guy. Holy cow.
I know.
That's
really
big. Like, I mean, I'm like, what is that? Like, I'm sure like most people would go up to like his ankle there. That's probably as high as they go.
I know. I kind of feel like there needs to be a person there so I can kind of get the context of really how big he is.
Yeah, that is huge. But it's impressive. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the statue they had in Batman v Superman, right? Like the Superman statue that gets broken and vandalized and then restored or whatever. Although it was a different pose, but much more elegant and clearly made for the movie versus this looks a little more generic. But yeah, I mean, hey, Enterprising saying they're going all out for the film, which tells me they're confident. They know this is a good movie. And then Kevin Davis, who's in the chat now, hello Kevin, saying if Superman's budget is 200 to 250 million, this film is going to have to outperform at the box office. The domestic audience going to save this film at the box office, just like Wicked. Well, I mean, James Gunn said the budget was nowhere near 200 to 250 million. I think he said it was maybe like he didn't really tell us the exact number, but he implied that it was under 200 million, right? And that 250 million number comes from people, including us on the show here over the course of the last year, doing the math on their tax credits and how they got a certain amount of tax credits from the state of Ohio to film in Cincinnati and Cleveland, and people read up on the rules of those of the tax credits being offered there, and it was basically predicated on a certain percentage of your overall budget you would spend filming in Ohio, and then you would get a certain amount of money for your tax rebates. And so people just kind of did the math in reverse and figured out, oh, if they got this much in tax rebates, this is how much the budget of the movie might have been. But I think there's a bit more nuance to it than that. There's a more of a graduated scale. So James Gunn also saying like, yeah, the budget didn't come out to that much. Plus, part of the reason why they have tax rebates is, let's say if you get $25 million back for spending, for let's say spending 7% or 10% of your budget filming in Ohio, then you take that money that you got in the tax rebate, you subtract it from your budget, and your budget goes down. So like, it's the ultimate number will get lower as a result of you getting those tax rebates. So anyway, I digress. But the point is, Kevin, I think the budget for this movie is probably at most 200 million. And yeah, you could probably expect him to spend another 100 million advertising it. So yeah, the movie needs to make 500 to 600 million to break even. That's definitely a high number, but considering that Man of Steel, which wasn't very well received, made like over $600 million and was profitable, and had a lot of big brand deals, I think they will do fine. And like Enterprising is saying, families are gonna really go for this movie. And Enterprising feels very encouraged by this and other things they're doing to market it. Absolutely. We have a bunch more Superman stuff coming up later in the show about marketing wise, but Bridget, what are your thoughts on the marketing so far for the movie?
I think it's pretty great what they've done so far. I think they know what they're doing. Especially like, as they said, even marketing it more to like kids and families with the, toys and things that are coming out. I think it's obviously really smart. And I think it's just I think doing the world tour is also a really great idea, even though very costly and crazy schedule. I think it's really going to get a lot of people excited. I think it kind of personalizes, Superman coming to your city. I think that's just a really great idea, and it kind of fits within the tone of the film. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, we talked about yesterday. I can go to the New York premiere. You can go to the one in LA, and we'll just report back on the show.
Yes. If we see Superman. Hopefully.
Absolutely. I mean, Manos Time usually is on the show. He lives near Paris. I'm like, dude, go to the Paris one. Send us your report. I don't know who else is on the show and which other cities they can go to, like Rio de Janeiro. There's Beijing. What am I forgetting? London. I mean, somebody can go to the London one. Frankie G in the chat saying Superman will be the first movie I watch in theater since Dune 2. Wow. All right, Frankie, you've really been holding out for this. Okay. Well, hello to you in the chat, and hope you're enjoying the show. And hit the like button while you're here. But what I was just gonna add something, but then just kind of escaped my mind what I was gonna say. But yeah, no, we'll have more Superman news to talk about later in the show. There's some more merchandise we gotta get into. And of course, we have some more Marvel news because today is also an MCU weekly episode. So to do that and so much more, we're going to get things moving here. But hey, guys, let us know in the comments down below. Superman coming to Manila. I know some of you guys watch the show who are from the Philippines. So we do have a Q&A session coming up, and we might get your comment in there. So make sure you're always, getting down in the comments below and let us know what you think about the promotion, that the work that they're doing for Superman so far. Do you think it's leading to the right kind of results? Long-term box office tracking is about to come out for Superman, so we're gonna hopefully within the next week, maybe even start to find out what the long-term predictions are, the projections for Superman at the box office, the opening weekend, as well as the overall box office. Is it really gonna be 150 to 175 million opening weekend like Jeff Snyder suggested the other day, or is the number going to come in a lot lower than that? Let us know in the comments down below, and what you think about Superman's first stop on the global tour, the world tour in Manila in the Philippines. So with that in mind, guys, we're just gonna move on to the next thing, as today we are done with the news portion of the show, but we do have to do the quick hits. So as we always like to do the slightly faster version of news, where we're talking about news that we don't want to spend 10-15 minutes getting into, but we do want to spend some time on. So I'm gonna hit that music and we're gonna get quick things started. Bridget, we're gonna get through these as fast as we can. There are a few interesting things to talk about, so let's start them off here. The very first thing that we have on Quick Hits today: the Thursday Murder Club is on the case in a new teaser for Chris Columbus's Netflix movie. Chris Columbus, I mean, he hasn't directed a movie in a long time, but a lot of us remember him from like doing iconic movies in the 90s and stuff. I think he did some of the early Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
I think he did Home. Did you Home Alone? Was that Chris Columbus?
Oh, he did. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. You know what would have been funny? Because this story came out yesterday and I missed it. And yesterday was Thursday, so we would have covered it on a Thursday. It would have been the Thursday Murder Club, which I'm guessing is why they dropped the teaser yesterday. But anyway, we didn't have time on the show. But hey, you look at the cast here. You got Helen Mirren. You've got Pierce Brosnan. Both of them are currently in the show Mobland, which is about to air its season finale and got renewed for season 2. And then you, of course, got the great Ben Kingsley there, and Naomi Ackie, Tom Ellis, David Tennant, Richard E. Grant. I mean, holy cow, this is one hell of a cast. And it's a bit of a whodunit. Of course, on Netflix, which has become a bit of a home for whodunits with the Knives Out franchise and others like it. It kind of feels like a bit of a cross between the way this movie has been advertised, between the Knives Out movies and like what's the show on Hulu? The Only Murders in the Building. It kind of feels like the two things combined together.
Yeah.
Even though the Thursday Murder Club is based on a book series that's been around for a long time. So if anything, the Only Murders in the Building is sort of based on the Thursday Murder Club and pulls a lot of the idea that, hey, you've got a bunch of retirees like playing who done it, but then eventually end up in a real situation where somebody dies. But what are your thoughts on this? Like, I mean, again, like you've got all the legends in this movie.
Yeah.
Like Enterprising is saying.
Yeah, it's funny. The other day, actually, because I love mystery movies, and I was trying to find something to watch with my sister, and I was looking, and this actually came up, and I was like, oh, cool. I was looking into it, and then I realized, oh, it's not releasing until end of August. But yeah, I did just watch the trailer, and I don't know. I feel like I don't know, just based off the trailer, it does seem it's, got a very maybe specific sense of humor.
Yeah.
I don't know if, I mean, of course, I would definitely want to give it the first pilot just to see how I feel about it. But I don't know. It's maybe not exactly as what I thought it was going to be. It's definitely kind of, as you said, like I feel like it has that Only Murders in the Building tone to it. So yeah. It'll be interesting. But
it would be. I hope so too. I mean, it looks great. You've got great talent in there, so I can't wait to see what it turns out. Hopefully better than the Percy Jackson stuff that Chris Columbus did. But hey, Percy Jackson's on Disney Plus. You can watch that version, which a lot more people like. All right, move on to the next thing. So 28 years later has topped the Golden Trailer Awards. It was the best in show for trailers, which I am not surprised because that first 28 years later teaser trailer was probably the best trailer I've seen in like a good 5 to 10 years. And I'm also not surprised that Severance became the top TV show. Then Wicked and Sinners were awarded some honors. Now, the Golden Trailer Awards, as it says in the name, it's all about trailers, and so they've got a million different categories honoring a different kinds of things about trailers. But the big award of the night, their main big honor, went to 28 years later. Bridget, are you surprised by this, or it was kind of expected based on just the quality of that trailer when it came out?
Yeah, it was a really good trailer. Really, you can get your spidey senses tingling. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yep, very creepy. I mean, hey, Enterprising saying give the editors a raise. Absolutely, they should give those. They should give that whole marketing trailer house a raise. But hey, David Fincher's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood follow-up, which John and I have been talking about this for a while because it was in the works for a little while. Quentin Tarantino has written the script, but David Fincher is directing it. It's the sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Of course, Brad Pitt is not coming back. Leonardo DiCaprio is not coming back. But actually, you know what? It is. You know what they tell you here? Brad Pitt is coming back. Okay, so Leonardo DiCaprio isn't, but Brad Pitt is. But now, in addition to Brad Pitt, you got Scott Conn, who was in all those Ocean's movies, and I think he was in Hawaii Five-0, the newer version, on TV, and then Elizabeth Debicki, of course, from Guardians of the Galaxy, as well as she was in Tenet from Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, hey, it looks interesting, Bridget. David Fincher directing, and with these list of stars, would you watch this? This is gonna be over at Netflix.
Yeah, I love Elizabeth Debicki. Always up to support a fellow Aussie. So yeah, I probably will be tuning into that when it does come out.
I mean, hey, Enterprising is more excited for this one because David Fincher is helming it and not Tarantino, which is interesting. I think a lot of people would lean the other direction. I personally, just looking forward to it in general. I can't wait to see this. Hopefully, it's a good movie. The cast is certainly up to snuff. So, and hey, speaking of up to snuff, Morkatna is here. Hello, Morkatna, joining us just in time for the quick hits. Speaking of quick hits, Charlie XCX pitching an It Girl Final Destination film, basically saying, hey, let's get Rachel Sonnet, Jenna Ortega all in there. Let's just get a movie where you just have hot people getting killed. She would also like to get OG Scream Queen like a Sissy Spacek in there as well. What do you think about this idea from Charlie XCX? We do have the Final Destination Bloodlines movie in theaters right now. Should Warner Brothers executives be looking at this pitch and be saying, hey, Charlie, yes, you and everybody else will get the crew together and let's make an It Girl Final Destination movie? Would you want to go see that one if they did do it?
I mean, I do love Charlie. I love her music. And I probably would, to be honest. I actually watched the TikTok, her explaining it, and I was at first reading it, I was like, I don't know. But then hearing her explain it, I was like, no, I think I'd be on board for this. But maybe it's just I'm a big fan of her. But she said too, she's like, I'm excited to see the Final Destination. So I think it's got her imagination going.
Exactly, absolutely. Well, it sounds like a fun idea. And given that the current Final Destination movie is doing really well, maybe this is the next one. Like this, I certainly think between Jenna Ortega and Charlie XCX, if you can get both of them in there, that would make money. That would make money. Well, speaking of making money, Ariana Grande has now joined up with the Meet the Parents sequel, the fourth movie in the franchise, which is set up at Universal. This is going to be a movie that's going to, pretty sure, straight to Peacock, and it's set to release in fall 2026. So from the way they talk about it, it looks like Ben Stiller's character's kid has grown up and is now getting married to somebody who's being played by Ariana Grande. And this is, of course, the 4th movie in the franchise. I think the last movie in this franchise was like over a decade ago. But it's Ariana Grande. It's Meet the Parents. Robert De Niro's back. Ben Stiller's back. Bridget, is this something that you would be interested in? Would you want to go see this?
I don't know. I mean, even you saying like it's streaming straight to Peacock, I don't have a subscription to that. So honestly, probably not. It just doesn't seem that appealing to me.
Yeah, they might actually put it in theaters because I mean, like I thought it was at Peacock, but like now that I'm reading this, I don't know if it actually is. They just said the release date for this is November 25th, 2026. So as of right now, the implication is that it's going to be in theaters. I mean, hey, like Enterprising is saying, if the script is good, then fine, go for it. I mean, Ben Stiller is a big name right now. Robert De Niro is still doing his thing, and Ariana Grande, I'm sure, will pull a big audience in her own right. So Enterprising, not so sure though. But hey, we'll just have to wait and see what it turns out and turns into. We do have Ariana Grande in Wicked for good later this year, so she's gonna have one movie this November, another one next November. But speaking of stars, Bridget, I don't know if I think you were a fan of Survivor, right? We talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
So Boston Rob, which I'm sure you're familiar with, he's a big reality star. He's in a lot of these competition shows. I think I last saw him in the latest season of The Traitors, the US version of it.
Yeah.
So he's quite the character. It looks like he was recently talking about how he turned down the offer for Survivor 50 because he wanted his spot to go to someone who deserved another chance, telling fans, don't be mad. I mean, is that just his ego talking, or did he actually genuinely want somebody else to have a chance?
I feel like I mean, I know he's not like, he was like in Heroes versus Villains, so he's not like, the most perfect guy, but I do think he does have a really genuine quality to him, and I'm a huge fan of him. I think one of the first seasons I ever watched was the one where he met his wife and then let her away, and it's like it's like the best love story. So I just love him, and I think he was on season 40 too, so maybe he's just done. I understand that.
I mean, also like Parvati Shallow was not included, so like you have a few other big names that weren't included in the cast, which fine. I mean, you don't have to include everybody, I suppose, but hey, Boston Rob saying he actually turned an invite down because he wants other people to have a chance. I mean, hey, how noble of him, as Enterprising said. Moving on to the next thing. Terminal List is getting a prequel called Dark Wolf. It's got a release date now with Amazon, and they just dropped some first look images. This is meant to be a show that's focused on Taylor Kitsch's character, so that on the left there, if you're not familiar. Of course, as you see on the right there, Chris Pratt, he was the star of the original Terminal List show, which has been renewed, and they're about to start filming that, or actually they have been filming that this year already. So Terminal List season 2 is meant to come out, I'm guessing, next year on Amazon, starring Chris Pratt. But Taylor Kitsch's character, who was a big part of season 1, it's sort of like he's like Chris Pratt's best friend, but spoiler alert, he ultimately ends up in a situation where he sort of like betrays him for money or something to that effect. So like he kind of goes rogue. But the idea is that the two of them have passed together in the military. So it looks like the Terminal List Dark Wolf is going to follow that past, specifically Taylor Kitsch's past, and it looks like they'll be debuting the first 3 episodes on August 27th, with the new episodes following weekly until the season finale on September 24th. So they did put out some first look photos. Bridget, I'm guessing you're not aware of this, but if given what I've just mentioned, is this something that you'd be interested in?
Maybe in the distant future, but I haven't seen the Terminal List, so I'm not. Really.
Well, it was a much darker turn for Chris Pratt than most of his shows, or most of his shows and movies. So if you're a fan of like military action shows, I suppose it's like sci-fi, spycraft, mixed with some military themes, because of course both of these guys are in the military in the show, so there you go, or at least were in the military. They're like veterans. But anywho, I guess this show is gonna cover the time when they were back in the army. So there you go. With that though, we're gonna move on to the next thing. The big news today, I know I included it in the quick hits, but it's still really huge. Taylor Swift has bought back her master recordings, everybody. So it looks like she has bought the rights back to her first 6 albums, ending a long running battle over the ownership of her music, saying all of the music I've ever made now belongs to me. I've been bursting into tears of joy ever since I found out this is really happening. Of course, she's re-recorded one or two albums, and so like they might still see the day in the future, but she's gonna re-release pretty much all the old albums that she just bought back and now has the rights to. So yeah, Reputation might, Taylor's version of it will still potentially hang around, but it's good, I guess, that she's finally in control of her own music. It's kind of interesting that probably the biggest pop star in the world did not have that until now.
I know
it wasn't a secret, but now it's no longer the case. Bridget, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm so happy for her. I actually, honestly, because it has been so long, I did kind of forget that this was still an ongoing thing. So I'm sure she feels relieved. I mean, 6 years battling and not knowing like when is it even possible that I will get them at some point. I'm sure she's totally relieved. And it was crazy too. I didn't know as much either about what can happen. And I was a huge Justin Bieber fan when I was younger, so I was like, oh my gosh, Scooter Braun, like you're so dirty.
Yeah, I mean, hey, she called the price of buying these albums back exceptionally fair and reasonable, even though they didn't tell us exactly what it was, but it was an undisclosed 9-figure sum. So like it could be as much as $999,999,999.
Yeah.
So it could be as much as close to $1 billion. But I mean, hey, I guess it's her music. It's made her a lot of money, and surely now that she has control over it again, all of the big Taylor Swift fans, the Swifties, are gonna go back and probably buy it all over again when she releases it. So I'm sure she's gonna make the money back and then some. So yeah, there you go. Taylor Swift has control over all of her music again. Now, speaking of control, I thought that the command and control that Tony Gilroy had over the storytelling in Andor was next to none. Like, it was probably the best show of the year so far, and it's not surprising to hear that Disney just gave Andor creators one singular note over the course of the entire 24 episodes, over the course of 2 seasons. They said basically the one thing you can't do again, because in season 1 there was a line that said F the Empire, essentially, and in the second season Disney was like, can you please not do that? So then they changed it to Fight the Empire. And this is from Tony Gilroy, of course, who was given $650 million to make the 2 seasons of the show. And all he got was, just the one note with Disney basically telling them, in Andor we trust. And quite frankly, I think the results speak for themselves. Bridget, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's kind of funny. But that's again, I think giving them that creative freedom hopefully was the key to what gave them the ability to make it such a great show.
Absolutely. I mean, and it again goes to show you just how good a job at like Enterprising is saying they did. Tony Gilroy, I think, created the best Star Wars anything ever, quite frankly. I mean, some people might say it's the best thing that they've done since the original trilogy, or maybe since, I don't know, Clone Wars or something. I think this is the best Star Wars anything ever. It's even better than the original movies in terms of the kind of storytelling they've done here, and it just works on so many different levels. And I'm so glad that we've got 2 seasons of it, and now moving forward, hopefully they can keep Tony Gilroy in the house of Lucasfilm, because that man knows his stuff, and I would love to see more of what he has to offer to this franchise. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen this yet, I highly recommend that you go check out Andor seasons 1 and 2 on Disney Plus. With that, we had to talk about Rush Hour 4, because Jackie Chan recently was being interviewed for, of course, the new Karate Kid movie that he's out there promoting, Karate Kid Legends. And well, I'm sure as he's been asked a million times, they were asking him, what about Rush Hour 4? Well, he said, hurry up, otherwise Chris Tucker and what's I was trying to say it like Jackie Chan, that just sounded racist. Chris Tucker and I will be 100 years old, otherwise we'll be old men doing Rush Hour. He told us to Screen Rant. Bridget saved me from my despair, but like Rush Hour 4, would you go watch it? Do you think it is getting to be a little too late, given that they are getting up there in age now?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends what they are capable of doing. If they can still bust out those moves, then yeah, it's funny. I remember when Rush Hour 2, that commercial came out, and I would always see the trailer on like one of my VCR tapes or something.
I'm Blackanese. Yeah, I remember that from the... Look, Rush Hour movies are some of my absolute favorite movies of all time. I feel like they've been working on a Rush Hour 4 for like a decade now. I mean, we've seen Chris Tucker talk about it, like, yeah, I mean, we're finally gonna get this right, and then Jackie Chan, but I'm like, clearly, like, somewhere along the way, somebody with the money and the power to make this happen hasn't said yes. So I hope they were able to change that, and I would love to see Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan do it Rush Hour 4, especially now. I think we're really getting on the precipice where, like, if you make it, like Enterprising is saying, Rush Hour 4 not retired yet, like, it's like, come on. Like we need that. We need another Friday movie. We need a Fifth Element 2.
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, Money Talks 2 with Charlie Sheen. I don't think we need that. Be positive. But Rush Hour 4. I will take Rush Hour 4 like all day long. Please do give me that. So moving on to the next thing. Stranger Things 5. There's a rumor going around, Bridget, because this weekend the Tudum event happens starting tomorrow at, I think it's like 5 p.m. Eastern time. And so Netflix is doing like their own version of Comic-Con like they do every year, where they announce all the details about their upcoming TV shows and movies. People are expecting that the first teaser for the final season of Stranger Things will reportedly drop tomorrow. Do you believe the hype? Do you think these rumors are true?
Ooh, I'll believe it when I see it.
That is a very fair point. And you know what? Fair enough. We do hope to see it. I can't wait. It's been long enough. Like, I mean, these kids are basically grown into like pretty much full-ass adults.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe they're still in high school. But anyway, hey, yesterday we mentioned something about like Apple going from iOS 19 to 26 and skipping like 6 versions in the middle. Well, apparently they're also set to redesign the iPhone pretty significantly between now and all the way to 2027, with their goal being to, of course, change up the notch at the top to being like a little bit of a hole in the wall cutout on the left, and then eventually going without it entirely. Maybe the camera's just hidden behind the screen at that point.
That is wild.
Now in 2027, and you see how the bezel even disappears over time.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to, introduce a new version of the iPhone this year later on in the fall, which is going to be ultra thin, and then they're going to get a foldable iPhone in 2026, which I know they've been working on this for a while. Samsung already has a few models, but Apple's still working on theirs. And then eventually they want to have an all glass design, so there will be no cutouts, no bezels. So what do you think about their plans? That means we might get, for the first time in a long while, we might get significantly different iPhones every year between 2025, 2026, and all the way to 2027.
Yeah. Well, I have to say the one in 2026 with the camera all the way on the left does not seem like a good idea. I'm surprised how that would totally be.
Well, I think they did put in a patent a while ago where they have been testing technology to basically have the camera behind the screen, and like the camera can see through it, and you won't be able to tell where it is, unless you look really closely. So yeah, it's possible. But what happened to the watches? They're still making the watches. Unfortunately, the Apple Watch never quite caught on the same way the iPhones have. Like the same thing as iPad. I don't think they're as essential, but anyway, this is interesting. I mean, I'm certainly gonna be due for an upgrade around maybe next year or so. So maybe I'll just wait till 2027 and get myself an all glass iPhone. Yeah. What happened to virtual reality? Well, that also never materialized, much like 3D movies. So moving on to the next thing. We talked about, I think, was it yesterday? Oh, I think it might have been a couple of days ago that Liz and I were discussing the casting of our new Harry Potter cast for the TV show. You've got a new Hermione, a new Harry Potter, a new Ron Weasley. And speaking of which, of course, the new actress, I think her name is Arabelle, and somebody give me the whole name. Oh yeah, right there, Arabella Stanton. That's the name of the actress at the bottom. She is our new Hermione Granger. And so somebody kind of put together the clip of course, the OG Hermione with Emma Watson at the top, and then you've got Arabella Stan at the bottom doing her audition for the role. And I'm not playing the audio here, but quite frankly, it's uncanny how close they sound.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she gets it, even in some ways more so than maybe Emma Watson got it. So like, what are your thoughts on this, Bridget?
It's really funny, yeah, because you can just hear it in the voice. That's like, oh, that's the same. And of course, not just the accent, but like, yeah, I was surprised. I was like, wow, she really must have watched all the movies and really kind of picked up the essence of the character. But it's really impressive, and it's good. It's exciting. Just when you see good casting, it's always going to make that project something to look forward to.
I mean, she's already done Matilda on West End, so she's got the talent. So I think she can pull this off. She'll do a great job. Well, the last quick hit today was something interesting that I came across. Apparently, Hideo Kojima ran into Robert Pattinson at Cannes. In fact, he said, Robert Pattinson is a nice guy. He's amazing. We were short 2 tickets for the after party, so I emailed Robert, and he said, "How many do you need?" And he sent them right away. And then when they met up at the after party, they discussed a few things, and well, he's holding on to his cards because Kojima said, "I really can't say right now what we talked about." So, I mean, Bridget, two iconic creators. Robert Pattinson, I'm sure, is a big fan of Hideo Kojima, as you can see in the photo there. Do you think there's a potential collaboration about to happen between Hideo Kojima and Robert Pattinson?
Hopefully. I think that would be cool to really be able to use Robert's likeness in one of his future projects.
I mean, you know what?
You're right.
If Matt Reeves is not directing the Batman 2, bring in Kojima. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's done a live action directed, but I would take it. I would totally take it. But anyway, maybe they can do something original. I mean, Robert Pattinson, obviously prolific actor. He's done Mickey 17 this year. He's filming The Odyssey right now with Christopher Nolan, and he's also got, of course, the Batman 2 on the horizon. So, yeah, be positive saying he looks like a Tron Uprising character. Oh, well, maybe. Go ahead. You were saying, Bridget?
Oh yeah, I was just saying, he's already got a full plate of projects. But yeah.
Yep.
Maybe he can get on his schedule.
He's got a lot coming up. Well, with that in mind, guys, that's the end of the quick hits. So let us know in the comments down below what you thought was the best part. Which of the quick hits were your favorites? Was it the Kojima Pattinson story? Was it Taylor Swift getting all of her music back? And of course, there's a bunch of other stuff we talked about, like there's a new Terminal List spin-off or like prequel to it that they're coming out with. There's the Thursday Murder Club movie over at Netflix. So a bunch of stuff to talk about. Let us know in the comments down below which of those stories were your favorite. Hit the like button while you're at it. But of course, as always, we're not done yet. In fact, we do have DC coming up. But before we get to DC, welcome on to another episode of MCU Weekly. We do this once a week, as it says there, MCU Weekly. So it kind of implies that we do it once a week. And as part of that, today we had to talk about a few Marvel stories, especially a bunch of Fantastic Four stories. So, Bridget, what are your thoughts on all of that, and which of the stories are you most excited to talk about?
I think the one that at least caught my interest the most is the review of the screening that they did, and just different opinions of what people think. I thought it was really interesting just to kind of give us a glimpse into how good the movie's going to be. Although it is, still early, we still have time to change things up.
Yeah. Absolutely. Enterprising telling y'all to hit the like button. Yeah, hit that thing. All right. Okay, moving on to the first story. Thunderbolts is putting out an art of the movie book soon, and so they put up the basically the cover for that book. It's going to cost $100. It's releasing in August this year, August 26th to be exact. The Art of Thunderbolts. Is this something that you would pick up? I don't know if this movie was known mostly for its production design, but I suppose it's an option. So I mean, I don't know, Bridget, are you somebody who collects these kind of books? I have a few myself, but I'm very, very picky with the ones that I go and collect.
Yeah.
What about you?
I've seen a couple of these, before for like Avengers and stuff. Probably not on my list, but it's good to know it's coming out. Yeah,
it's coming out in August 26th. So, I mean, Enterprising is not really impressed with the cover. I mean, yeah, it's not the most impressive thing from the movie, but it's the art of the movie. So I'm sure a lot of this is going to be concept art and things that they were working on for storyboarding and such, and production design sketches and stuff, which ultimately turn into what we got in the movie. But it's fun to appreciate the artwork. Like I have one for Titanic, I have one for a bunch of DC projects like Batman and stuff. Mm-hmm. So every once in a while, I think I got one for Dune. I have one for the Batman. But the movie's cinematography has to be great, and the production design has to be amazing, because I have one for Avatar. Like, you want to read that stuff and find out how they got to where they did with it ultimately. When are we getting Captain Marvel and Marvel Rivals? Be Positive is asking. I have no idea, to be quite frank with you. I would have to look that up, but it's a good question. Maybe somebody else in the chat can answer that. Enterprising think they could do better with that Thunderbolts cover for that art book. Yeah, fair enough. But you know what? They might be doing better with the more superheroes, the better in Avengers Doomsday, because according to a new report, apparently the 7th superhero team for Avengers Doomsday has been revealed. You might be wondering, what the hell are they talking about? There's What are the other 6 teams? Well, apparently Alex Perez of the Cosmic Circus, who, you know, if he is to be believed, because he doesn't always get it right, he was recently talking about how the Young Avengers, aka the Marvel's champions, that is something they're gonna do. They're gonna do a project focused around those characters, including Kamala Khan, Kate Bishop, Cassie Lang, Riri Williams, and America Chavez. But the first time we'll get to see them together is going to be in the new Avengers movie, and alongside them, you also will have, of course, you know, potentially the OG Avengers, or AKA maybe the Sam Wilson version of the Avengers team that he puts together. And then we'll obviously have the X-Men, because you know a lot of these characters are coming back from that cheer announcement they did. Then you had the Fantastic Four, so let's keep count. That's 3 teams right there. And then we keep going here. We have the Wakandans. They make up their own team, Team Wakanda. And then, of course, you have the Atlanteans. So you're going to get a few of those characters, including Namor. We know he's coming back for the movie. And then, of course, we're getting the Thunderbolts, aka the new Avengers. So there's that team. So there's, what is that? Like, is that 5 or 6 already? I can't. Okay, and I lost count too. Well, Young Avengers and Champions makes up the rest. And I guess, yeah, that's 7. There you go. That's 7. So, Bridget, are you excited potentially for that Young Avengers project? Like, do you think they're gonna actually do this as a movie of its own, or do you think we're just gonna see them as a team in Avengers Doomsday, and then, you know, they're gonna maybe get dispersed and do their own thing? Like maybe Miss Marvel gets another season of her TV show, maybe Kate Bishop gets another season of Hawkeye. But do you think they will do like a movie with all of them together going on an adventure?
I mean, it's possible. Maybe they will bring it in the Doomsday movie, see how it's received, and if there is like, I don't know, a lot of excitement towards making a movie, then they will. I don't know. They're waiting for that before greenlighting it. But
Yeah.
I do think that there would be interest kind of seeing.
Yeah, I mean, just the lineup alone, you got Kamala Khan, so that's Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop, who's like the Hawkeye in waiting. Riri Williams is, of course, Ironheart, where she's getting a show in a few weeks' time. America Chavez, she was in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Cassie Lang, she's with the Ant-Man crew. So, they have some impressive set of powers there, and obviously these are all like, ladies as well. So I don't know if there's gonna be any other like young male Avengers added to this, but certainly this team is impressive in its own right. Positive asking about the budget of Doomsday, dude. I don't know. I can't speculate. I'm sure there's gonna be like 300 million or more. But that movie's gonna make $2 billion, so who cares? They're gonna make their money back. I personally really like this lineup. I think Kamala Khan is probably the most natural leader, given her charisma and like how she shows up as like, I'm putting a team together, or you're part of a bigger world. That whole tease at the end of, I think it was at the end of Hawkeye, which was kind of hilarious. They might bring Joe Locke back from Agatha All Along. Be Positive is saying that would be nice. That would be nice. I would love to see that. Maybe like Wiccan. That's the name of the character. So he's meant to be one of Wanda's sons, or I guess her imaginary son, at least in the 616 universe, that is. But 300 million plus probably is on the right track as far as the Avengers Doomsday budget goes. But hey, moving on to the next thing. Apparently, the rumors of the Eternals' demise were greatly exaggerated, because according to, again, Alex Perez of the Cosmic Circus, Eternals aren't exactly done for. In fact, there'll be more about them in the next saga, aka the Mutant Saga. So are you surprised, considering like the movie Eternals got a 47% Rotten Tomato score, basically flopped at the box office, even though it had Angelina Jolie, Richard Madden, like, you got Salma Hayek, and just, I mean, a million other amazing actors. You can see right in that image alone, they had an amazing cast. They had an Oscar winning, fresh off of winning an Oscar, Chloe Zhao directing the movie, but it just really fell off a cliff. So, I mean, are you surprised that the Eternals may actually still come back to the MCU? It felt like they've been just sidelined for the longest time. So, I mean, it's surprising to hear that they're not done for. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly am surprised, because I remember that they didn't do great. And it's interesting that they have enough faith, I guess, in a sequel. But I don't know, maybe they've got something really great cooked up. But I do find that surprising, because usually you wouldn't, when something flops, you don't usually hear about them wanting to continue. And it's, at the end of the day, it's the money, and that's a big risk.
Yeah. No, it is a big risk, but I mean, I guess it depends on what they do. Like if they
Yeah.
just have them cameo in other movies, or I don't know if I really don't know if you're gonna get like a proper Eternals 2. I'm sure they're gonna have a different director because I don't know Chloe. I mean, unless that was just really a bad day for Chloe Zhao at the box at the office, as it were, because she came off directing an Oscar-winning movie to doing Eternals, which was surprisingly mediocre. And the Eternals retired because they are rich now after selling the huge statue in the ocean made up of adamantium. I don't think they sold it, but I see where you're going with that. I don't think they need money either, but yeah, the pitch has to be worth it. That's, I think, enterprising is a good idea. That's a really fair point. Whatever this Eternals 2 potentially might become, if it is in fact an Eternals 2, for all we know, they might just show up in the new Avengers movies and then cameo in other movies or TV shows. So it's not guaranteed that they'll get another set of movies. Obviously, Richard, if you've seen the movie, spoiler, or if you haven't, spoiler alert, Richard Madden's character literally, Icarus flies into the sun at the end of the movie, very on the nose. But yeah, I mean, maybe a different director, not bringing Chloe Zhao. I totally butchered that name. Sorry, Chloe. Maybe they can bring her. Maybe they will bring her back. Maybe they won't. I mean, I think a lot of people would like a different director. So we'll just have to wait and see where they go with this. But Eternals, apparently, the rumors of their demise were greatly exaggerated. Let us know in the comments, guys, what you think. Would you like to see Eternals back for another go around? What do you think about the news or the rumors that we might be getting actually a Young Avengers movie after all, and then they will be a part of Doomsday? Are you surprised about that? Well, and while you do that, we're gonna have to switch gears here because we have a bit more MCU news, but I want to kind of segment this off because, well, the Fantastic Four First Steps, they have a big presence at CCXP this weekend. And in anticipation of that, they've been releasing a lot of new photos and a lot of new looks, behind the scenes stuff, and as well as promotional marketing material for, of course, the movie that is releasing. And now it's literally weeks away. We know there's going to be a bit of a tie-in at San Diego Comic-Con, but the big Comic-Con leading up to the movie's release, of course, is CCXP in Mexico. So it looks like the cast and maybe even the director, they're all heading to Mexico for CCXP. Plus, they've also released some new looks at the movie. So, Bridget, let's dive into that, shall we? The first thing we're going to get into is some of the images that they put out in the Empire magazine. You can see here, they're showing, of course, Mr. Fantastic, Pedro Pascal himself, Franklin Richards, Reed Richards, actually. Franklin Richards is his son. Reed Richards showing a rocket demonstration, which looks kind of realistic. If you're doing a retro 60s thing, Fantastic Science of Mr. Fantastic. What do you think about this image?
Actually, I really like it. I think it's really funny. And obviously giving us a little more detail into the movie. But yeah, I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, Fantastico, says Enterprise. And yeah, be positive. The F1 movie's coming out in June as well. Whereas, I mean, Fantastic Four obviously comes out in July. They're still like a good 4 or 5 weeks away. It does remind me of Meet the Robinsons Enterprising.
That's true.
It very much does. That's a really good point. The Fantastic Car is real. Well, it is real in the movie. So let's keep the ball rolling. We have a few other things here to look at. Of course, they did release a little announcement video saying, "Hey, see us at CCXP." It's kind of like footage from the trailer where the kids are running up to this TV in a showroom, and that shows them a little bit of footage saying, "Oh, the Fantastic Four, they're coming to CCXP." So yeah, if you guys are there, the 31st of May, I mean, that's starting today. CCXP, there, I'm sure Fantastic Four will be up there with their own panel. And you guys can get your tickets at Ticketmaster Mexico. So if you get a chance, you can go check it out. Of course, they put up another little thing here, like a little, what do you call it, postcard with Mexico City. So greetings from Mexico City and the Fantastic Four cast. Yeah, it looks very interesting.
Yeah.
And then they've got a display here. So this is one of the displays at CCXP. You can go, I'm sure you can take pictures there, obviously walk around the space. What are your thoughts on this, Bridget? Is this something that would interest you if you were on the floor at CCXP?
I mean, yeah, it honestly looks just like that picture we were looking at yesterday. One of the photos they released with the skyline and everything. But yeah, I think it's really cool. Building that whole set, making it seem real. Yeah. If I were there, I'd be taking selfies all day.
Yeah, it looks kind of amazing. And also What I like here, I'm forgetting the name of the artist. I'm sure I'm gonna get flack for this, but and as you can see in the image, they've got like this like hanging artwork. That's from a really famous artist. Is based on like a lot of his work, and it just I'm gonna find that name eventually, but it's like just completely skipping my mind. I really love that they have that not only in the movie, but they also have that here. Like you can go
Yeah.
to a lot of contemporary art museums and see a lot of this artist's works, and it's just amazing. It just kind of adds another like little like element of production design and just nuance to the whole thing. Um, his friend Ben Grimm, in-law Johnny, is Sue, his wife. Meet Rich. Okay, cool. Those are not the only reveals. Of course, we do have a few different looks at this display. You clearly can see people can sit there and take photos with the character statues. You've got Herbie there as well, and you got the big, blow up. I don't know what that is, other than just the logo. But we have a few other images, Bridget. So Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards is many things in the Fantastic Four first step: superhero, leader, science genius, husband, and impending father. I see a limitless amount of layers to this character, Pedro said. It was a fascinating contradiction. What do you think about the comments here? Do you think we're gonna get many sides of Pedro Pascal, many sides of Mr. Fantastic in this role?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he's trying, so that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, it can be a lot to kind of show in your acting all these different labels, but yeah, I mean, that's great that he's really devoted to the character.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, these aren't the only photos, though. Of course, we got a couple more. We got a photo of Vanessa Kirby's Invisible Woman, of course, Sue Storm, and it looks like her baby will shake up the Marvel first family in the movie. She said it's not just adults that have superpowers. So, yeah, I mean, in the comics, Franklin Richards is one of the most powerful mutants in all of the universe. So it looks like we will get a young Franklin, and he's gonna have some powers. Are you excited to see that? Because now we're getting closer and closer to the Incredibles, quite frankly. Which
I know, I was gonna say like with Jack.
it's a little circular because like the Fantastic Four technically came first, but anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Her
have a
hair
good-
does look white, which is I think the look that they've been going for this whole time. So I don't know. That's not a surprise to me, but it's gonna be fun. She's gonna be like the first superhero mom in the universe, because I guess if you don't count Wanda's Darkhold crazed mission to get kids that she never had, Sue Storm is going to be actually the only and the first superhero in the MCU that's going to be a mother. Like that's definitely
Wow.
interesting.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Yeah, sorry, I'm very parched right now, so
Okay.
I want to take a drink of water. But hey, we got a first look at Franklin Richards in the toys. I mean, we have been seeing all these toys spoil the movie, so you might as well spoil this.
Yeah.
But in case I guess it's too late now, but like spoiler alert, that's what Franklin Richards is gonna look like supposedly as a baby. I mean, I'm thinking they probably got a real baby there. It's not just gonna be all CGI, but you could see as part of some of the toys they will have in the movie, you will have Franklin Richards. It looks like Sue Storm is gonna have him like floating in some of the plasma or energy field that she generates. And it looks like they're standing on top of I don't know, like a street light there. What are your thoughts on these designs?
Yeah. That's right. So this is an actual like toy then, like a figurine.
Yeah, this is the official official merchandise for the movie. So
Yeah.
they were revealed at CCXP, so they're everybody can go get some, I think, soon enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cute. I love what the little baby's looking at. Yeah, it almost makes me feel like I don't know. I don't know why it's reminding me of like Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus, but that's just what it's making me think of, like their little family.
Yeah, Enterprising saying, "Oh, he's an adorable little Omega level mutant." Yeah, he's like the most powerful one of, if not, well, he's one of, if not the most powerful mutant in all of Marvel comics. So I
Wow.
wonder if we're gonna get to that point with him. Obviously, that's a grown-up version of Franklin Richards, but hey, it's fun to see that they're gonna be introducing him already in the very first Fantastic Four movie. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. But yeah, this is now official. I mean, not only are we gonna get a pregnant Sue Storm, she's gonna give birth within the movie, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna get the baby, and that looks like it looks like this movie is gonna take place over certainly a decent amount of time. It's not like it's going to be a few days like Superman story is going to be, whereas this movie takes place maybe over the course of several months, considering that baby does not look like it just popped out, right? Like that baby looks like it's been around for a few days.
It's gonna be like 1 month later.
Yeah, maybe. Like it's just, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see again how it all plays out. I mean, they don't need to cast any known actor for the baby version of the character, but I'm sure once he's grown up, we'll all be wondering like, oh, who are they casting for the role of Franklin Richards? Because that's going to be significant. But are they going to age him up at some point because they want to already get to the adult version? But here we are. We have, Reed Richards' son, Franklin Richards, Sue Storm there as well. The Fantastic Four become the Fantastic Five, or I guess if you count Herbie, the Fantastic Six. There we go. But hey, what I also saw, this was an email from the Hollywood Reporter that I got, so I kind of pulled it into a PDF here. Apparently, they did like basically a public screening of the movie on Wednesday night. So this Wednesday, now this report is interesting. I'm just gonna read it here and then we can talk about it for a moment. So stick with me, guys. But in Hollywood Reporter, and they're not the only ones reporting this. A bunch of other outlets, including Jeff Snyder, I think, also posted about it. But on Wednesday night, a few dozen people showed up to the Regal Long Beach for a mystery screening from a major motion picture studio. Comes a new film, is all they had on their invitations. And well, when the lights went down, the picture came up. Audiences, I'm sure, were incredibly surprised to learn that they were getting to watch Fantastic Four: The First Steps that evening. Of course, Kevin Feige and Matt Shakman were both in attendance for the movie, so I guess they wanted to gauge the reaction in person. And then they also did include a post-credit scene in this, which is, I'm sure, the one that we were talking about the other day, that the leaked post-credit sequence for the movie. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, in this article, they're telling us we're not gonna spoil anything, nor will we reveal anything from the post-screening discussion. Suffice it to say, the movie is 8 weeks away. That's 2 months in eternity in today's movie-making world, and it's still being worked on. Back in the day, they used to have to, like, by this point in time, put the reels in their boxes and ship them. But nowadays, the theaters download the movie directly off the server, so from the studio. So like they can keep working on it literally up till the day the movie comes out. Yeah. So I'm sure there's a lot of stuff in that movie that's not completed. And the reports out there right now are saying that, well, that some of the effects are really bare bones, so they're not, quite done yet, which is not surprising. But the big thing that I wanted to kind of get your opinion on, Bridget, like according to insiders, usually Marvel doesn't do these kind of public screenings where, like, people just walk into a theater for a special screening and get to see a Marvel movie ahead of time because they don't want to give away spoilers. They only do it when they're worried about the movie. But most of the other times, they'll just do a friends and family screening where all they're showing it to are the friends and family of the people who worked on the movie or in the movie. So they keep the circle as tight as they can. But on a few occasions, they've gone out and done, like, I think for Eternals and such, where they went out and did screenings with maybe more of a general audience. And when you look at the reactions that people are supposedly, have been getting, I mean, the Hollywood Reporter didn't want to give anything away, but on comicbookmovie.com, they were talking about how some people who described the movie as, mid or kind of meh, that maybe Marvel might be worried, like, things might be, the reaction might be a bit mixed. For Jeff Snyder, one of his sources called it both mid and meh, and not that bad, but not that good either. The thing about bad CGI, I think I can get over it because they're probably gonna fix that by the time the movie comes out. Yeah. But the fact that it featured weak character development, and then they had other issues that some people have been pointing out as well. Do you think this is gonna be a problem for Marvel? I mean, it's a big risk to do this in the first place because obviously some spoilers will get out and have gotten out. But what are your reactions to, I guess, with the people who did see the screening, what they're saying about it?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think even at the top of the article, it says, it's, take it with a grain of salt, kind of, perhaps, because usually it's people who have negative things to say that are going to be the ones that want to talk the most. So hopefully that's what is going on, but it definitely isn't promising to hear this. I don't know. I mean, hopefully this is the information that they needed, at least, to improve what's lacking thus far. I don't know what they have in their arsenal to improve the movie they need, but hopefully
Yeah.
they got what they needed.
Yeah, I mean, Frankie J saying, "Why is it so hard to make a good Fantastic Four movie?" Well, for all we know, this movie might be fantastic. See what I did there? But it's still not done yet. So I mean, obviously the version they showed here had incomplete VFX and stuff. And again, like Enterprising is saying, it might not be indicative of the general audience reaction
Right.
because, like, even viewer Anon's report said it's not a big sample size. They only had like a few dozen people in the theater. So, and even then, it was like a few dozen people who probably live in the same area, right? So it's not like they're getting a very diversified data set there. So for all we know, like, you know, the movie swings from okay to amazing by the time most people get to see it in the movie theater, by the time we get the finished cut for critics to watch. So yeah, I mean, so far, here's what I would say. Like all of this, like Bridget, you mentioned, even like, take it with a grain of salt. It probably means that yes, the movie needs work, and I'm guessing that when they took this unfinished version to those audiences, Kevin Feige and Matt Shackman, they knew that, you know, people are going to complain about certain things that weren't completed in the movie, but they probably brought it out anyway because they wanted to get, you know, other notes. And I'm sure they learned a few things about, like, okay, maybe this part of the movie drags a little bit and people were bored. Like some of the people who were there were saying the first act kind of drags, but then once Galactus shows up, things pick up. So maybe that means they need to shorten the first act a little bit or like spruce it up somehow. So like I'm sure they'll take that knowledge and information and data and then go implement it. They have 2 months to finish this movie. And you know, Marvel always runs it down to the wire. So hopefully they'll have enough time in those 2 months to get it to a point where people will love it. But it looks like, you know, some lucky few folks out in LA got to see the movie and got to give their opinions on it. Yeah, and like Enterprising is saying, still a ways until release time, so relax, folks. And yeah, with that,
just yet, not yet.
as long as they're able to, you know, fix some of those rough edges, I think we'll be fine. Guys, in the comments, let us know what you think about that. Are you excited for the Fantastic Four first steps? And are you excited for the first look we got at, you know, Franklin Richards? What do you think about the test screening comments? And you know, we even have a little bit of a spoiler potentially for the post-credit scene that got put out on the internet, which now I'm starting to believe that might be like a bit of a red herring, considering they put it in that screening. They could have easily held it back. But anyway, let us know in the comments down below. Hit that like button while you're at it. Hit the notification bell. If you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Hit subscribe. We'd love to have you on board with us 5 days a week. We do this Monday through Friday, but we're not done yet, because now it's finally time for the main event. I'm looking for that graphic. There we go. Okay, so let's get things started with the main event of the show. As always, welcome on in to another edition of DCU Daily. As always, we have a bunch of Superman stuff to get into today. We also have your comments to get into as part of this special Q&A session we do every Friday. We have a bit of Penguin news as well. And to do that and talk about it and so much more, I have today with me Bridget. How are you doing? And then also, what is your favorite story on DCU Daily today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I am excited for the weekend. And I think what I'm most excited, a couple things, but you know what? I'm excited about the little crypto toy. That looked really cute. And also Penguin. The Penguin conversation, I was like, that's cool. That's cool.
Yes, absolutely. You know what? Speaking of which, let's start there, shall we? So the very first thing I wanted to kind of get into is, you know how Variety does these actors on actors panels where they'll bring, you know, the actors together, like usually a pair of actors. I think the multiple outlets do it. I think Hollywood Reporter does it as well and stuff, and even The Wrap does it. And in some instances, they'll do a roundtable. But it looks like in this case, Variety's actors and actors, the next one they'll do is going to feature Colin Farrell and Danny DeVito, which, as you can see here in the image, there is some commonality between the two of them, and the both of them have played versions of Penguin. Of course, we got Danny DeVito's Penguin and Batman Returns way back in the day, and most recently we got Colin Farrell playing in potentially an Emmy-winning turn, but certainly a Golden Globe-winning turn as the Penguin. So two very different versions of the character, but this upcoming conversation will release on June 2nd, so that's early next week. I'm sure we'll talk about it when it does come out. I know both of them have kind of addressed each other's takes on Penguin in the past already, but what are you most looking forward to when it comes down to watching these two talk about their careers? Both decorated actors, have got a lot of awards on their mantles, and of course the biggest role or one of the biggest roles they're most remembered for in both of their cases is the Penguin. But, you know, two very different Penguins. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it'll be really cool for them to kind of, you know, talk about the processes and how they both kind of think about and approach the character, I think will be really interesting just to see that conversation. I mean, I think that's a really great idea. Yeah, it'll be cool to see Penguin versus Penguin and see what their commonalities too will be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Be Positive is asking you, did you see Bridget Jones mad about the boy? I saw it, by the
No,
way.
I didn't. That sounds just went straight to streaming, right? I
It did. It's
missed
on.
that. I was like,
I think it's on Peacock. No, it's on. I think it's on HBO Max. It's on one of those two streaming.
I need to. I haven't yet, but I was shocked. I was like, how did I not know about this? Because the last one was in theaters.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting to see.
But hey, it's always fun to see these kind of conversations because I'm sure a lot of details come out that we haven't heard before, and especially because they get into the details of like things like the makeup work. I mean, Colin Farrell, of course, he's infamously spent like 8 hours a day or something in makeup. To the point where Danny DeVito was like, dude, I spent a lot of time, and even that was kind of extreme what you did.
Like
so
Grinch level.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. Be Positive wants a new Catwoman movie. I'm sure we'll get one with either Zoe Kravitz or another Catwoman in the DCU. But as of right now, the Penguin meets Penguin. I should say Penguin meets the Penguin on June 2nd when they do the Variety's latest actors and actors, Colin Farrell, Danny DeVito. We're looking forward to it. Like we usually do, we'll grab some quotes. We'll talk about them next week when this happens. Whether it's Bridget on the show or John or Liz, we'll have a conversation. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a must watch. So do keep your eyes out for that, guys. In the meantime, we do have to switch over to talking about all the Superman stuff that we did not talk about earlier in the show because we saved it for DCU Daily. So let's do that here. The very first thing we have is, James Gunn's Superman, of course, is currently being sued by Joe Shuster's estate, one of the creators of Superman. And I found this post today, which I thought did a really good job of kind of summarizing where things stand, because I know there was some confusion when we were last talking about this. I wanted to just kind of quickly go through it, and then we'll move forward from that. But this way, at least, we'll clarify some of the details of what's going on with the case. And as they say here, currently, they're looking to get Joe Shuster's state is looking to get Superman banned from releasing in the UK, Canada, and Australia, and I think also Ireland maybe was mentioned, due to Superman creator's family suing the studio, of course. And the reason why they're doing this is because of the copyright laws in British legal tradition countries like Australia, Canada, and the UK, where it states that 25 years after the owner of the original owner of the artwork or the story or whatever IP it is, after they pass away 25 years later, all agreements get invalidated, they get terminated, meaning that Warner Brothers would technically no longer have the rights to Superman in the UK, Australia, and Canada, basically all the countries that are in question here. So technically, if that were to be the case, Warner Brothers is still profiting off Superman, obviously, whether it's the previous Superman movies and TV shows or the upcoming movie. So the state of Superman creator Joseph Shuster, or Joe Shuster, more commonly known, they filed that lawsuit alleging that, Warner Brothers is illegally making money off of Superman in these countries. And now, initially, the court case was thrown out in U.S. federal court because they were like, this is not our jurisdiction. Like, clearly, this is not something to litigate it in the U.S. But then they reopened the case. They resubmitted it into New York State court because they were alleging that Warner Brothers is about to make a lot of money illegally off the new Superman movie in countries like the UK, Australia, and Canada, where they don't even have the copyright for it anymore if you go off the rules in those countries. So if they were granted, I think they were asking for an injunction, they could potentially stop Superman from being released in those countries. So that right now is something that hasn't happened. That's still in progress. I believe like next week, there's a court date, I believe is June 4th. If I remember correctly, Warner Brothers has to be in court to kind of explain why, at this point, they should either have this case tossed by the judge or why the claims of Joe Shuster's estate are invalid. So, Liz, it's not Liz, sorry. See, I do this every day. But Bridget, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is going to go in the favor of the studio, or do you think maybe Superman might not release in the UK, Australia, or Canada?
That's really hard to know. I'm not a legal expert, but if there is, again, this legality, I guess maybe things could turn for the worse. Maybe it's just something that they can't fight. Of course, it depends. I guess it's going to go down in court this week, but that would be crazy. I feel like, if that ends up happening,
Yeah.
it'd be such a shame, especially because London's on the world tour, and I don't
It
know.
is, yeah, definitely.
I
That
don't
is
know what
very
happens
true.
to turn it around.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, I think, is saying probably what's most likely going to happen is Warner Brothers is going to have to cut a paycheck,
Yeah,
or just a check, I guess.
right. That's what they're after.
Where, yeah, because exactly, because even if they do win the case, they're not going to want to stop Superman for releasing. Is there in their interest for Superman, the character,
Right.
and this movie to succeed? Because then the Schuster family will
Mm-hmm.
profit from that. So even if they were to win the case, they would probably just license out the rights to Superman to Warner Brothers, and then they'll make money off of that. So it's just right now, it just, we don't know which way it's gonna go. For all we know, Warner Brothers wins the case, and then Joe Shuster's family does not have any other claims outside of the previous agreements that they have with the studio. But if it gets down to a settlement, then I'm sure that would mean Warner Brothers just cuts a bigger check. So yeah, let's just enjoy the world, let the world enjoy the movie, like Frankie's saying, and that's what I say too. But hey, you know what? Joe Shuster's nephew just does not want people to do that, so that's his problem. But we're just gonna have some fun because that's what we're here to do, and let's get into some of the merchandise news. So apparently, we now have an actual flying crypto toy out there, Bridget. This is from Spin Master, and
It's so funny.
I guess it implies that crypto will be flying in the movie. We haven't seen that yet. Do you think that will happen? Like, do you think crypto will fly in the film?
Well, he better. I mean, I feel like I'd be really disappointed if I got this toy and then he didn't. As a kid, I'd feel like, what does this have to do with anything? But
Yeah, I mean, although hopefully not with like those rotors. Maybe he'll just fly like Superman
he'll just
does. But, I
fly.
mean,
That's really cute, though.
You'll believe a dog can fly. That should be on the crypto character poster.
Yes. It reminds me of like those little sky dancers we used to have. So,
Seven Manuel in the chat saying I'd break it in 5 minutes. Well, that's to each their own. I'm sure if you were to do that, then maybe like get yourself like a few different versions so that you can wear them out over time. But I also saw this Superman and Keith are doing like the amazing collaboration, and you get a bunch of awesome clothing articles here. So you've got the a jacket here with the Superman logo, very classic. I kind of really dig that one. That's the front of it with the Keith logo. And then you've got this one. I actually really love this one. I might actually get that one, the all black.
Very demure.
Yeah, very demure. Then you got some hoodies, or like some sweatshirts, I should say, with more classic Action Comics artwork. Then you've got a clock with another classic Superman art, and then the same kind of Superman art on. I'm guessing that's a shirt. I mean, are you familiar with Keith merchandise, Bridget? Is this something that would interest you? Any of this?
Not that much. I don't know what their normal merchandise tends to look like, but this looks really rad, I think.
It does. That's an excellent way to describe it. That word. I love the jacket. I also love this shirt. I really love this shirt. This is awesome. This is really awesome. I love it. That one's cool. There's one that says Man of Steel. I'm like, I'll get that too, because I love the movie Man of Steel. Even though I know these are like, that one right there.
For this one. Yeah.
And then you have the crypto one, Just Us.
Aww,
And
that's cute.
yeah, we'll stay on that one for a second longer. Yeah, that looks really nice. It's a white shirt. Maybe you get it in different colors as well.
Yeah.
More Superman comic book art, the complete story of the daring exploits of the one and only Superman, and you wear it on your shirt. Then you got the hoodies, of course. The whole collection is nice. Look at this one. It's
That's
just
really
illustrations
cool.
all around. Wow.
That's cool. I almost thought it was like the Hulk for a second, but that looks cool.
Absolutely. By the way, be positive. I'm sure people do still fly kites in certain parts of the world. But
On the beach.
Sorry?
Oh, on the beach, I see people fly kites.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Exactly. It's summertime. I mean, that's what you gotta go and do on the beach. But Manuel suggesting maybe the black jacket might be worn by Superboy. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's a little too early to speculate. That's you're connecting two very far apart dots. So, but hey, it's pretty cool merchandise. It's pretty cool merchandise. We've gotten some big merchandise in the past from Superman. That's awesome. This looks very classic. So loving it so far.
They did a really good job designing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get myself probably that jacket, and it drops this Monday. So I will be looking out for that.
Yes.
I'm sure some of this will go flying off the shelves like a lot of Superman merchandise has. All right, moving on to the next thing. We have a few other things from Superman. Of course, they did record a promo for the Champions League final taking place tomorrow on Saturday, where Inter Milan will face PSG in the final for this year's Champions League. So David Cornsweet and Nicholas Hoult did this promo for TNT Sports. Of course, TNT Sports holds the rights to the Champions League final in, I believe, Europe. Whereas in the US, of course, it's going to be on Paramount Plus. So, of course, TNT Sports is all part of the same company as Warner Brothers Discovery and DC Studios. So, they're all part of Warner Brothers Discovery, I should say. So you can see this promo here. They've mixed in a little bit of football footage from the games this year in the Champions League alongside some of the footage from the trailers. And they do a whole thing at the beginning, or is it football or is it soccer? And of course, David Cornsweet is American, so he says soccer, and then Nicholas Hoult corrects him because he's British, and he's like, it's football, which I agree with that. But yeah, more Superman promos, and the game is tomorrow. They have this like this Beckham and Friends like alternate simulcast, which that is an amazing trophy, by the way. Where David Beckham is going to have Tom Cruise on, which is nice, among a few other celebrities, to basically kind of like the Manning cast for the Monday Night Football is the equivalent of it, which is fun. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's great marketing for sure. Kind of definitely going to get, all these sports fans interested in watching this too. And in that promo as well, they kind of like are comparing, the responsibilities and characteristics of Superman with these elite athletes.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Very
absolutely.
inspiring.
Well, those weren't the only things we got in terms of sports promos, because they also did this collaboration with MLB's Play Ball initiative, which is basically meant to promote young kids wanting to play baseball in their local backyard or ballparks in town. And they're doing a collaboration with Superman, which looks amazing. I mean, again, encouraging kids out there to go play ball every weekend,
right.
And it's all part of the summer of Superman. So yeah, I'm sure this is going to be fun. I mean, again, inspiring kids at a young age to pursue, if you like baseball, then go play baseball. Yeah. Antonio, we're going to get to that one actually. Speaking of Antonio, hello in the chat. Let's keep the ball rolling here.
I like that.
Same. Absolutely love it. And then speaking of what Antonio was mentioning, the one with the little kids. John and I remember talking about this last year. We have photos of this from behind the scenes of like when they were filming with the kids on set and stuff. And you've got the girl there that he saves in the trailer. And just to David Cornsweet, clearly, he is Superman. Like, look at his personality, the way he interacts with the kids. Bridget, you saw this. What is your reaction to this?
Yeah, it was so cute. And it was really cool seeing like, because this is such a moment in the trailer. So yeah, it was really cute seeing the behind the scenes and just being friendly with them. And I'm sure like totally made their day, if not their lives, to be a part of this movie and to see real, Superman is so exciting.
And some of these kids are just so young. You can already tell like these kids will remember this experience forever, and it's gonna shape their lives probably in ways that we can't even anticipate. Maybe a couple of them might become the director of the next era of Superman movies a few decades from now. I mean, this is just a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun, and it looks fun, and this is all part of the promotion for the movie, and it's really ramping up now. So I'm excited to see more of this behind the scenes content. Speaking of which, there is one other video today I want to get into, which is a bit more of a behind the scenes look from James Gunn, where they were, directing the movie. And so he's kind of explaining his process for how they filmed it and all the different shots. You can see he's in Video Village with all the monitors, looking at all the different angles and the different, shots from the movie. Sometimes they had multiple cameras running at the same time. And so he's directing all of that. And you could really tell not only the scale of the set, but also just, if you listen to what James Gunn is saying, you can get a better idea of his process. Like directing at this scale, like you gotta have a talent for that and a skill and experience. He's obviously done movies at this scale before, so he's certainly not no stranger to this. So and then also the plaque for Daily Planet says established or founded in 1775, so it's even older than America. Bridget, what do you think about all of this?
That's funny. No, I always love behind the scenes footage and getting a little insight into the movie making is always really cool. And just to see, some of your favorite scenes too. Oh, like they did it a couple times, they did it 100 times. They you know, wasn't perfect, but they improvised, and yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this looks cool. Like Enterprising is saying, I really as a filmmaker and storyteller myself, I love seeing this process in action. I've been in front of monitors and have like yelled action and cut and gave notes and walked around the set and really just working with actors, blocking on set and working with the camera team and like trying to figure out like how the camera's going to move between the different scenes.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic, and it's just inspiring to see a filmmaker like James Gunn at work. So
Yeah.
I love it. I can't wait to see more of this. I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of it on the behind the scenes reels that we get for when the movie comes out on Blu-ray and digital, and maybe even they'll do like a special for it. Like I think they're doing a How to Train Your Dragon 30-minute primetime special on NBC. Maybe we'll get something similar for this on like TNT or something when this movie comes out. So I
Yeah.
can't wait to see all of that. But
Me
this
too.
is fun. This is
It
always
is.
fun. Seeing stuff like this is great.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments down below, guys, what you think about all of that. Like, do you appreciate all these looks? And again, just the marketing just really picking up for Superman, whether it's merchandise or these behind the scenes looks. Yeah. Daily Planet statue, I'm sure we'll get more of that too. We're already getting a lot of looks at the
Same.
big globe. So yeah. BTS specials on Blu-rays, man. Yeah.
I
Most people don't buy Blu-rays anymore.
You know.
Yeah, as a person who's a DC fan and a Warner Brothers fan, Antonio is saying I can attest to early marketing coming back to bite you in the butt. From BVS to The Flash, I think less is more. I'll give it to them. Yeah, I mean, hey, well, so far I think they're doing a lot of good stuff here. They're not giving too much away. They're
Yeah.
just giving you like all these different looks from different angles at the same thing. In terms of like they're showing you behind the scenes with James Gunn at the Daily Planet set, but then they're showing you Superman and David Cornsweet outside in Cincinnati filming stuff at kids. Some of this stuff
Yeah.
we've already seen before, quite frankly, because it was
Right.
out in the public eye. So it's not even like it's hidden information. But as far as marketing goes, I think they've been very measured. And if you look at what they did with the Batman, so far this is on the right track. But you know what is also on the right track? That is the show that we're pulling off today, which is now heading into the final act, and that is, of course, as we always like to finish the week off here on DCU Daily, we do every Friday a Q&A session with your comments. So today, as per always, I've pulled in a few comments, and I've pulled in 5 of them. So Bridget, let's get into them. We have 5 comments from the folks who are watching us live or may not be watching us live, but might be watching us after the fact. So
Yeah.
you never know when you get your comment featured on the show, and then we'll talk about it, whether it's a question, comment, or fan theory. Let's start with the first one for today. The very first comment that we have to bring in today has to be from Jochi or Jojitel Izalde. I am not gonna get that right, but
Joji Eliza Day 6965. I don't know.
there you go. Thank you for getting that right. Yeah. So they're saying this is from, by the way, the Superman Global Tour video that we did yesterday. They were saying that, hey, they woke up surprised to that morning and were flooded on social media that the first stop of the world tour would start here in Manila, implying that they live in Manila. So they just read that James Gunn, Peter Safran, and David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan were coming over. Hope I get to see them, although no venue has been announced yet. So there we go. That's a fantastic update. So far, we don't have a venue announced yet, but what we do have is the news that Peter Safran, James Gunn, the co-heads of DC Studios, and of course the director of the movie, James Gunn, as well as David Cornsweet, who is playing Superman, and Rachel Brosnahan playing Lois Lane, they will all be in Manila to kick off the tour, which is fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
Bridget, what do you think about this? Like,
That's
and
so
again,
exciting. Yeah, to be the first city too. You'll be the one to tell everyone what's going on and what is in store for us. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, I really appreciate this, and I love that we're getting a local report from Jojita, or Jojit, or Joji, or Joji. Yeah, we'll just Joe. I'm gonna go with Joe. Joe, thank you for sending us the comment and the details. We'd love to hear from you as we get into the tour and Superman passes through Manila. Let us know how that goes, and when you send us that comment, we'll bring it into the Q&A session and we'll talk about it like we did today. Moving on to the next comment in the Q&A session, we've got this one from Chris, slightly more negative, on the negative side, I should say. He was saying, I don't know, but I'm getting a big Flash 2.0 vibes from Superman. Yes, the same shitty cinematographer, but also the hate of the main actor. It looks like they copied exactly how Supergirl flew. the hype seemingly his dying closer to the release. The official Flash trailer has more views and horrible CGI as well. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like on some fronts this is simply not true because the Flash had a big problem with Ezra Miller. I don't see anything close to that with David Cornsweet. Seems like a wonderful person. I just don't see that like comparison how that's fair. Yeah, they have the same cinematographer, but okay, like the cinematographer doesn't make or break the movie. They're not going to be making the final calls on what the movie's going to be creatively, like from a storytelling standpoint. They're there to work with the director, but the director is ultimately responsible. So given that this is James Gunn talking about it, I'm sorry, directing the movie, I don't think we're going to have the same problems and issues as the Flash. Now, of course, James Gunn is also the man who hired Andy Muschietti, who directed the Flash, to direct the new Batman movie in the DCU. So I don't know, take that for what it is, but I mean, Bridget, do you believe this? Do you think the marketing and the hype is actually dying down? I feel like it's only picking up. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, personally, I feel like it's getting the word's getting out. People are getting ready. Obviously, we have, as someone said here, they are waiting. Maybe it's the last movie they saw in theaters was Dune 2. So I feel like people are getting excited. People are. It's just totally different than what I'm seeing, and I guess I'm also confused about the hate of the main actor because I don't know if he has like a bad history, but because that's what it was with Ezra. Was he getting into some...
but Ezra got arrested like 3 times. I don't think David Cornsweet has come anywhere close to getting a driving ticket. I don't know where the hate for Superman, like, there's the vocal minority who are like, Snyder cultists as they say, but
just hate that he's not Henry, maybe. But
yeah, maybe, but I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, like, shitty cinematographer, okay, like he did one movie didn't like. Did you see all the other movies he did? Also, like, horrible CGI. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Horrible CGI. The CGI in this movie looks way more complete and way better than anything that I've seen in a lot of the other big blockbusters of the ilk. Even Fantastic Four currently doesn't have as much finished CGI, and both of these movies are set to come out within weeks of each other. So yeah, I mean, I think overall this is still very positive. And yeah, I mean, maybe, I mean, I saw a comment on our channel. Somebody was like, David Cornsweet, he's of course Jewish, so maybe he has some like views on the Palestine-Gaza conflict and Israel and stuff. But like, even they were like, I haven't found anything yet, but I'm gonna keep looking. But I'm like, do you really need to go looking for hate? Like, just enjoy the movie for what it is. This doesn't have to be a us versus the
you don't have to make everything political.
Yeah, it's also like David Cornsweet, you don't know what he thinks. You don't know where he stands on any of this.
Assumptions to make.
Yeah, right? I mean, and you're going to see the movie for Superman. Like, you're not like, if I skipped every movie where I did not agree with the political views of some actor, then I would see a lot fewer movies. Then I mean, but I understand some people just don't like that. But just because he's Jewish doesn't mean that he hates some things, or like that's a pretty big leap.
That's a big assumption, problematic to make. I think.
Yeah, I mean, so ultimately, as far as the CGI question goes, as far as like the cinematographer goes, both of those things, yes, the Flash did it one way. That doesn't mean we're gonna get that with this movie. I think James Gunn has done everything in his power to make this the very best version, the very best movie he's ever made, quite frankly. So I don't think we're gonna have that same issue. But let's move on to the next comment. So of course we do have to talk about. Let me take this comment off screen so we can see this one. Elite Easy E, who might be in the chat right now. Yeah, we've got your comment up, man. So like, hope you're still watching. This is from the Hammer of Baravia's Ultraman episode, because that was potentially a spoiler that came out from the release of one of the toys. And well, Elite Easy was talking about the report about maybe possible test screenings of Superman, and we kind of debunked them for the most part. But Elite Easy was saying this report says that they cut 25 minutes of jokes from Superman. Seems to be leaning on the Gunn detractors' belief that he's just a goofy boy writing jokes. Compare any Guardians movies, any of the 3 that he's made, the Suicide Squad that he worked on, Peacemaker, the TV show, to something like Thor: Love and Thunder. It's like night and day. His projects, aka James Gunn's projects, have balance. Love and Thunder is very bit heavy, as in very over the top comedy heavy, and a lot of the jokes don't land with Love and Thunder. And it doesn't give any of the comedic bits time to breathe. So they just kind of like wail on you with more and more comedy. And and it just didn't have the balance. Is I think what Late Easy is saying.
Yeah.
But he does say, I agree with you guys. This report sounds like someone pulled it out of their sock, their pink sock, and then there's a couple of emojis there. So yeah, I don't think I think this might have been like Liz and I on the show, and we kind of mentioned that we don't really believe these reports all that much. You know, test screening reports most of the time are really pretty much, you know, always off the mark.
Right.
But Bridget, where do you stand on this? Do you believe James Gunn is gonna strike the right balance when this movie comes out in terms of humor, action, adventure? You know, not every moment is gonna be some kind of like joke being thrown at you. Like, what do you think about how James Gunn is approaching this movie?
Yeah, I hope he is. I hope he's in tune well enough to kind of know the right balance. I mean, especially I feel like I can say at least, I feel like a huge problem with Marvels for me was feeling like everything was ironic. Everything had to be funny. There was just no sincerity at all. And I feel like there has to be a balance of like, you know, let's not completely, you know, crap on ourselves. Let's like still kind of have that. Yeah.
And I think ultimately the balance so far in the trailers, you could tell this movie is going to have its funny moments, is going to have its serious moments, is going to have Superman in trouble and injured and hurt, but it's going to have moments of triumph and fun, like, you know, where he's hanging out with Jimmy Olsen and stuff. I can't wait for that. Crypto, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fine. And we're going to have a few quips here and there, but I don't think it's going to be a movie that is filled with them to the brim. So I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I think that report was a bit exaggerated. I don't think they're going to cut 25 minutes out of a movie. And even if they did, I'm like, a lot of movies start out a lot longer than they ultimately end up being. That's what you call an assembly cut. And then by the time you get to the final cut, you usually have chopped away a lot of the fat. So it's not unusual. But anyway, the next couple of comments I think are a little bit more fun. The main man saying, hope Liz has a safe flight. And pardon the photo, I just couldn't help myself. But I'm sure Liz was not hanging off the plane like Tom Cruise did in Mission Impossible, and her flight landed safely. She did arrive where she was headed to in one piece. In fact, today she went and saw Lilo and Stitch, which is why she went out to see it with her nephews, and she mentioned that it was amazing. There was a kid bawling their eyes out at the movie. So there you go. We have Nico in the chat. Hello, Nico. You're a little bit late, unless you've been watching for a while. Be kind and rewind if you missed the show. So yeah, I mean, hey, happy and safe travels to Liz, and then she'll be back. I think over the weekend she'll be back on the show on Tuesday. So looking forward to having her back on the show. But then the last comment is gonna be a little more focused on Bridget today. So, and again, I couldn't help myself with the photo because, well, JB, I don't know if you're watching live or if you'll watch after the fact, but you said Bridget O'Malley is one of the most Irish names I have ever heard. Please come back soon. And well, I mentioned earlier in the show, there's a show called Mobland that's going to be airing its season finale this weekend on Paramount Plus. It stars Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, and of course Tom Hardy. And it's about the Irish mob in the UK. So I couldn't help myself. I was like, I can't think of anything else Irish that's movie related. So nothing to do with you, Bridget. I do not imply that you are a part of the Irish mob. But what do you think about JB's comment?
That's so funny. And he's definitely not the first person to say that. It's I'm like maybe 12.5% Irish technically. So not that much, but it's actually funny. When I was younger, when we learned about like internet safety, you had to like Google your name. And so I Googled my name, and the only thing that came up was like this old Irish ballad called Bridget O'Malley. And I was like, I mean, it's spelled differently. I was like, wow, like songs meant for me. And it's kind of funny. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, I mean, hey, you are clearly back on the show, and you'll be back again in the not too distant future. So, but this does bring us to the end of this week's episodes of DCU Daily. Of course, we are doing the Friday show. That's why we're doing the Q&A session. So I'll remind you again, guys, leave your comments down below. We will bring your comments into next week's Q&A session on next Friday. We have John back next week, and I'm sure Bridget will be on the show. Liz is back as well. So we'll have the whole crew back together again. And Monday through Friday, we'll do another, set of DCU Daily episodes, as well as, so Curious Episode review, Lilo and Stitch. We're also going to be reviewing, of course, Karate Kid Legends. John saw it today. So it's going to be a fun week of movie reviews, DC news. I'm sure we'll do some Marvel stuff along the way as well. But until then, it's a great weekend at the movies. Go out there and watch a movie. Come back and talk to us about it. Even check out, if you get to check out some Superman stuff, if you find anything that you want to send our way, give us your story ideas. We would love to bring those into the show. We love to hear from you guys. We love the feedback. Thank you for another amazing week. We appreciate you guys always. And Bridget, thank you for stepping in this week for a couple of different episodes. I'm sure we'll have you back on the show next week. And until then, guys, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on another episode of DCU Daily.